Welcome to the MLS Show. It is me, Baz. I am joined, as it seems always now, by Scott Nicholls. Scott, a very warm welcome again to the MLS Show. You're getting a bit of a permanent fixture now, which is all good.
Yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it. I love talking about MLS, one of the most unpredictable leagues in the world. Who wouldn't enjoy it, is my question.
Well, exactly. Why aren't more people getting into it? Well, I mean, they are. It's growing. Have you been good, mate, since we last spoke?
Absolutely, yeah, great. Been doing well. Just finished up an interview with Brian Dunseth for those Real Salt Lake City fans. Just to go off of that, he's also a New York Revolution ex-player there. He actually is the reason that Jay Heaps went to New England. So,
right.
That was an interesting interview. We come off the back of that over on Beyond the Pitch and, watched some great MLS this weekend. So just ready to talk football, man.
Right, let's go. We won't mention our English teams. Scott came out on top against mine. Let's just leave it there. Right, the first game of the week. What was that?
I said I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, well, I've said it for you, so let's move on hastily. Okay, the first game of the weekend, Toronto 2, Houston Dynamo 0. Scott, Josie Altidore, 2 goals. You want to talk about one of the goals? Am I right? You have an issue?
Yeah, you can't don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take anything away from Josie Altidore, but followers of the show, who may also be followers of me, may have seen me getting into it with Kurt Larson on Twitter about Josie Altidore. Now, look, this is my thing. I don't think Josie Altidore is very good, okay? It's okay that he's not very good. He's just okay. And he has these streaks. We talked about him before. He's a streaky player. We compared him to Carl Larin, didn't we? We said how Larin's a more natural goal scorer, but Kurt Larson's over there talking about how he's one of the most complete players in MLS, and I'm sorry, but I don't agree. And the second goal that he perpetuates as this sort of proof of it, I think was more of a goalkeeping error on Joe Willis than anything else. I mean, if you look, don't get me wrong, it's a fabulous little ball from Giovinco. He takes it down really well on his chest. But as soon as that ball's over the top, Joe Willis needs to be racing off of his line to close down that angle. And he stands there, stranded like a deer in the headlights, Look, you still got to finish it. You got to take your chances. But I'm not sold. I'm just not sold. 2 goals today. He's in one of the top sort of, I think, 9 people in goals per game in the history of MLS. He's number 9. So, look, is he a good player? Maybe, but he's just not consistent enough for me. 2 goals today, big deal. We'll see if he can do it next week. Most likely not. And he most likely can't do it without Giovinco. I'm telling you that.
You sound like Ped. Ped digs Josie out quite a lot, to be fair.
I saw just to go on that, I saw a great thing today, and it was a guy who was tweeting all of these facts about Sunderland, which made them one of the most ridiculous teams in existence. And I think I sent it to you, and it was like, the fact was Josie Altidore being so bad that for a striker we would chant, if Altidore scores, we're on the pitch. Normally reserved for players like Tony Hibbert.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, we'll move on from there. Look, good win for him. Good win for him. Not a bad loss for the Dynamo. They're still unbeaten at home, the Dynamo. Not a bad loss. Look, and Toronto, great win for them. Always a great win at home. BMO is definitely one of the toughest places in MLS to go. So didn't really expect anything different, I'll be honest with you.
Fair play. I mean, like you say, Toronto picking up that pace now, really starting to make that home form strong. And of course, Giovinco beginning to fire again like we thought that he would do. So a good win there. And you're right, Houston, they need to just protect their home record, really, and that'll take them far, I think, this season. Moving on to a Canada game, all Canada tie, and Vancouver getting a win on the road, a 2-1 victory.
Yeah, excellent stuff. I mean, their first result on the road this season. Excellent stuff for them. Really big confidence boost for them, and it came from one of the most unlikely sort of places in Andrew Jacobson. He had a fantastic game in the centre of that midfield, or at least what I can say that I've seen on the extended highlights from MLS Live, because we don't get all the games here, of course, But still, he had a fantastic game. Look, he actually scored the equaliser and then set up Teixeira for the winner. So, I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that, can you?
No, I mean, coming from a goal behind, Donadell, of course, have put Montreal ahead early on. So a fantastic win for Vancouver there. Montreal, just very quickly, need to get their form sorted. It's been patchy, to say the least, at the start of this season.
Oh, yeah, and in this game, it really showed how you can keep Montreal out of a game if you isolate Ignacio Piatti. He was isolated completely. They took him out of the game. And look, the injury to Mancosu hurts them a lot. Fifth minute, he's injured. And you're playing in a team now with Jackson Hamill, who has scored some goals of late, but he's not really proven in MLS just yet. I mean, we'll see how he does, the young kid. A kid who was actually, I think we talked about before, going to get cut by the Impact. Was he not? Something like that. So, look, and that's your situation now. That's your situation. So they need to sort something out. But look, they're very patient. They believe in Biello. And one of the reasons that the Impact is so successful as a franchise is that they have people like Biello, who played with them in the indoor game and played with them in USL, and then Patrice Bernier. They have a really good sort of core to that team. So I'm not worried about them. I know they're only like a point or so above Philadelphia right now, but I am not worried. They are a second half of the season team. If we're still talking like this about them in June, July, August, then we have to worry.
Yeah, most certainly. Moving on to a team who has done very, very well at home is, of course, a team close to my heart that I say every week, is Orlando City. They were at home again, back at the Orlando City Stadium, and very predictably, very predictably came up with the goods again in a 2-0 victory against the Colorado Rapids. And this one lit up by a player who frustrates the life out of me, but showed at the weekend what he can do on his day. And that is, of course, Carlos Rivas, who scored an absolute worldie. Oh, yeah, just huge. And the ball didn't even move. It was like someone had it on a line and they just pulled it into the corner. It was almost like I've never seen a ball move that way. It was incredible. But yeah, he's been playing very well of late, hasn't he, Baz? I mean, you can't deny that he's come on really strong in the absence of Kaká. And look, maybe Larin compliments Carlos Rivas. I don't know if you think that that's true, but I mean, what do you think about his play of late? I mean, it's certainly different. I don't know if it's the manager change. What do you think? He's changed his position very slightly as well. I think under Adrian Heath, he was tended to play more on the left-hand side and stay out there, and his decision-making at times is really poor. But under Christ, and certainly this season, he's got a lot closer to Larin and being a lot more central, and that to me, it suits him. He's definitely developing as a player. He's one of Orlando City's DPs, and you scratch your head for a while as to why he was, but performances we've seen it against the Red Bulls. He's cut in and hit a shot from 30 yards or something that's hit the post. He's getting that left foot going. And when he hits it, it stays hit, as we see with the goal. But his form has been really good. One thing I wanted to touch on, they've started obviously fantastically well at home, but they've done it so far without Kaka. They lost Kaka, I think it was 9 or 10 minutes in to the new season. He returned at the weekend as a second half substitute and looked like he hadn't really been away, Scott. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons behind that was Christ actually benching him when he was fit. The first time it's ever happened. Yeah. So, I mean, look, you're benching a Ballon d'Or winner in MLS. I mean, that's what's going on right now. I mean, look, hey, not to play down MLS, but what must be going through Kaká's mind at this point, So he comes on like a man possessed, and he gets his goal, and it was an emotional return for him. But I don't know how he hasn't given that goal to Kyle Larin, because without Kyle Larin, I tell you what, he had no right to get that shot away, Kyle Larin. I know it was in garbage time. The game's already won. It's extra time in the second half. But to hold up the ball the way he did and turn and find a lane to be able to shoot at goal, force a save that rebounds out to, anyone, I couldn't get my head around that. I thought it was a great piece of hold-up play by Larin. Yeah, most definitely. He's another player who's improving, it seems, week by week. But Kaká, we'll come on and give them that balance, won't he? And that's exactly what he done. He'd had one, I think it was still 0-0 at the time. He pulls one edge of the box, turns and whips a shot before anyone's even seen it, and it shaves the post. Inches wide. Yeah, just absolutely brilliant. And then obviously he got on the end of an absolutely brilliant bit of striker play by Kyle Larin. So a great win for Orlando City, still top in the East, doing very, very well. And he looked the real deal. I think I tweeted you, didn't I, on Saturday after he'd won, saying this Orlando side looks serious this season. They really do. Yeah, they've sorted everything out under Jason Christ. All of the things that were wrong under Adrian Heath,
Sorry, I know
careful.
he's your boy. I know he is, and he's Otis's boy too. He's my co-host's boy. He knows him. It's okay. I'm very careful with Adrian Heath. I once asked him if he liked oatcakes or if he missed them still. He didn't really give me an answer when I was in Houston. So
Fair play. Fair play. But no, they're doing really well. Just very quickly onto the Rapids. Missing players, of course, at the weekend as well. They're more of a team that does well at home again, aren't they? As are a lot of MLS sides.
yeah, I mean, look, Colorado, Zach McMath not doing the best job of putting himself in the shop window over the last couple of games. But look, you're deputising for Tim Howard. I mean, he's not exactly going to win the place back immediately, is he? Let's be honest. I think he was unfortunate to let in 2 goals because he did make 4 very good saves, including a really ridiculously good save at point blank range from a Kyle Larin header. But for if it had been anywhere else, it could have been a goal. But his reaction was just unbelievable at that point. Colorado's a team that does better at home. They've lost Jermaine Jones now. I know it seems weird to say, but he was a big attacking force in that team, almost completely by surprise, coming from the Revolution in Foxborough, and then seeing him played in that sort of almost and sometimes as a defensive, center defenseman, a centre back. And now you're seeing him playing as a number 10 in Colorado. He's doing well. But you missed that, and Gashi hasn't really done a whole lot this season either. So look, they're a team that is very sort of flippity-floppity almost. You never really know what you're going to get with the Rapids. Last year, they were great. Will they be this year? Who knows?
Who knows? Fair comment. They look a little bit rudderless at the moment, particularly on the road, but I'm sure that Pablo will get that sorted out as soon as possible.
Because he shaved the moustache. It's because he shaved the moustache.
I think you're right. Moving on, New York Red Bulls 2, Chicago 1. This one big because Dax McCarty returned to Red Bulls Arena. But unfortunately for Dax, Red Bulls came out on top. Scott, very solid at home, aren't they, the Red Bulls?
Yep, that's now 20 regular season games undefeated at Red Bull Arena, if you can believe it.
Fantastic. Well, I can believe it because they are very good at home.
But only in the regular season, it seems, because I think the last time they lost there was they were well beaten by Piatti and Biello and Bernier and Drogba by the Impact the last time out in October. So it's just, look, they can figure that out on their own, but what you need to focus on most of the time is Supporters' Shield and is MLS regular season. I know you've got to focus extra hard in the playoffs, but you've got to get there first, and they're going to get there by doing what they're doing. Look, how many times did we say they look like they might have a Dax McCarty-shaped hole in their midfield, but they seem to be plugging that very, very well. And there was a lot of emotion going on this day, especially because Dax is so outspoken about the way he was treated by New York when he was traded too. But I think there was a lot of good feeling. I was told there was some kind of montage to him as well, some notes in the program. And, look, I think that he was welcomed back fairly warmly. I think, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, everybody watching. But, look, he played like a man possessed against his team. Like a man possessed. He was everywhere, all over the place. And then I didn't know that he could run like Messi, for that assist on the goal. I didn't know he could do that. Did you know he could do that?
I've seen it once or twice. But just for sake, you think he was welcomed back really well. He was signing autographs at the end. It seemed to be all very cordial. Nicholls with the goal again for Chicago. He looks a good pickup, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's making a habit of this scoring goals thing, isn't he? Which is always good for a striker in MLS. But look, it's, again, Chicago shouldn't be too disheartened by this defeat. I know it's a couple of defeats, I don't think in a row, but recently, actually it is 2 defeats in a row for Chicago. But I don't think they should be. I don't think they should be disheartened. If you think of the teams that they've lost to this season, 4-0 to Atlanta in Atlanta, which, and I know we're going to talk about DC and Atlanta later on, but if you watch that game, then you'll know that 3-1 flattered DC a lot. 3-1 in Toronto, and then 2-1 in New York or in Harrison against the Red Bulls. So these are not bad losses, guys. These are losses that you can build on, and they're not like you're being shellacked in these games either. So I think all they got to do is, that's true. It's like it's a thing my friend Tom used to say all the time, shellacked. He would say shellacked. But the Red Bulls have had 3 games at home now in their homestand, 9 points out of all of them. What more can you say? Just get the job done. And Aaron Long, let's not forget about him. Young kid, another really exciting homegrown prospect for the US men's national team, having a great run at centre-back. Yeah,
fantastic stuff from the Red Bulls. Moving on, a game I watched, Minnesota 0, San Jose 1. think a really, really good road win for San Jose. For Minnesota, frustration really. Couldn't really get the game going. Couldn't get Ramirez into the game enough. San Jose, and just marked them fantastically well. And it's always good, isn't it, to keep a clean sheet on the road, as San Jose did.
Yeah, it's a great thing for San Jose to be doing right now. And it is an important away win because, as we've seen, Adrian Heath is starting to bind this team together slowly but surely. Look, they've only their scoreless run, ended at 191 minutes, I've just read. Okay, I looked it up because I was curious to see quite how long it was. It was 191 minutes, but that's one goal allowed over 5 consecutive halves, and that's not that bad. No. Any other team in MLS would kill for that record. So they're doing something right defensively right now. It just so happened in this game they couldn't get Christian Ramirez going. Yep. And look, you're not always going to have that. You're going to have these days. It would look way less bad for Minnesota if they hadn't been, I want to say, shellacked again by all these teams, but at the start of the season. So look, positivity surrounding both of these teams right now, even in defeat for Minnesota, I think.
Yeah. So a great win there for San Jose, obviously Youngworth with the goal, an important victory there. Moving on, two of the best teams in the Western Conference. Well, they are the two best teams. Portland Timbers and Dallas played out a 2-2. Scott, a good game. Addy, again, just seems to be on the score sheet all the time for Portland at the moment. But this was a really, really good game. And you'd expect it from two quality teams in the West.
Yeah, look, any time that these two teams are going to play each other, it's going to be, I wasn't expecting quite as high scoring, I'll be honest with you, because both of these teams are pretty good defensively, in my opinion. Look, Oscar Pareja knows how to play every team in MLS, and without giving too much away, again, I don't want to keep referring back to Brian Dunseth on the pod that we just did with him, but he did talk about Pareja, and he said to him one of the first things he learned in management in MLS is that you cannot be married to any one formation, which is why guys like Tesho Akindele haven't had that many minutes, and sometimes you'll see surprising decisions from Oscar Pareja, but it always works. He always has a plan. So, look, I'm not surprised that this ended in a stalemate. I mean, I think maybe on balance it was the fairest result possible too. So one of those games where I just can't really say a whole lot about it. It was a fair result. They both played to the best of their abilities, and now Dallas goes on to play Real Salt Lake in Salt Lake at Rio Tinto. So I don't know how much of a test that's really going to be for them because Salt Lake aren't doing so well right now. However, they've got to lose that unbeaten record sometimes. They're 7 matches in now. Let's see how long they can stay unbeaten in MLS.
I mean, they had to come from behind twice in this one, of course. So, that shows the durability. And Max Arruti with another goal. He started the season really, really well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a quality player. I mean, Dallas just has this conveyor belt of young quality talent going through it. They give up players and they get more players from their academy. And look, they're just there. He is showing other managers, Pareja is, how to do it in MLS on a budget. I think I looked at all of the teams' budgets that came out. They're around the sort of 5 to 6 million mark, which is one of the bottom halves of MLS. But look at the results that you're getting on the field from them. Can't see really fairer than that. Absolutely,
yeah. Totally spot on. And Caleb Porter's Timbers, MLS Cup winners 2 years ago, started the season really strongly, and I'd expect them to carry that on as well because they're such a difficult team to beat on their own patch. But always up there. Moving on, Scott, this one we've touched on this side a couple of times over the last couple of weeks and scratched our heads, and I'm talking, of course, now about LA Galaxy, who failed to beat Philadelphia Union, who aren't having a good season themselves. This one ended in a 0-0 draw in Galaxy. There's obviously not a whole lot to say about it, other than the fact that if you're Galaxy, are you getting worried at this moment, or?
Yeah, I don't want to say there's a lot of negatives surrounding the Galaxy right now, but there's a lot of negatives surrounding the Galaxy right now. Look, Analfo doesn't look like he has control of those players, to be honest with you, and they made some changes, and they were unlucky with, João Pedro's shot just sort of coming off of one post, then the other, then away from the goal. But that's just the sort of luck and the attitude that surrounds the Galaxy right now. They seem deflated. And I've never seen them struggle like this, in all the time that I've been watching MLS. And I think someone said to me when I was talking to them about it, the last time they did, before Bruce Arena got involved back in 2008. Okay. So, if that's any indication to go by, you might have a struggle on your hands to turn things around there right now. I'm not convinced with the Jermaine Jones-João Pedro, partnership in midfield. Whether that has anything to do with, maybe a language barrier or something, or just not the right chemistry. Again, I don't want to say that there's trouble in the ranks just yet, but certainly if it continues much longer, I'd say maybe you got to start thinking about that.
Definitely. Just very quickly, for Philadelphia Union, Jim Curtin will be happy with that point on the road?
He will be, but honestly, the two hottest seats in MLS right now are Philadelphia and LA. So, look, it's, they're the only winless team in MLS, the Union. So a draw is still a point, but, ask their fans and the Sons of Ben how they feel about just getting a point against a team that is frankly reeling right now.
Yeah, fair comment. Moving on, Sporting Kansas City 3, Real Salt Lake 0. You spoke about Real Salt Lake before, but Sporting Kansas City, good side at home, aren't they? And Dom Dwyer amongst the goals again.
Yeah, look, keep looking out for him amongst Bruce Arena's plans for striker. Look, he might need all the help he can get. And Benny Feilhaber's goal was a beautiful goal too. And Gerso's goal at the end, it was just kind of, garbage time. It was 5 minutes of stoppage time. And look, this is actually Sporting Kansas City's was the first win over RSL since MLS Cup in 2013. So it actually evened the sides at 9-9 and 6. I'm reading here in front of me. So look, they're so even, these two teams. Even with this 3-0 win, now SKC only has a 1-goal advantage over Salt Lake in the total of their time together. So look, Brian, again, we talked about this, but he said it was going to be a tough game. He wasn't, convinced at the time that it was a good time to play Sporting Kansas City. I said to him, it's got to be the best time. They just dropped points. But, turns out never a good time to play them at home.
No, never. Another team which is frustrating itself at the moment is, of course, the Revs. And they went away to Seattle and went 3-0 up. And it looked 3-0 up with about 15 minutes to go, something like that. It looked as though they were about to get, a great result on the road. A deflection gives Seattle a bit of hope, and then lo and behold, another 3-goal lead blown.
I don't know what to say. We talk all the time, don't we, about how we're not convinced with the Revs' defence. Yeah. And they've certainly upgraded at goalkeeper with Cody Cropper over Bobby Shuttleworth. That's undoubted. But I don't know how much of an upgrade that is right now. I mean, the goalkeeper's only as good as his defenders are. So, look, perhaps we're seeing that, with the fact that we thought Shuttleworth was so much worse. But, look, I'm not convinced by the Revs defensively, and they have all these great players. Agudelo ran the show for large portions of that game. Bruce Arena, must have looked at him being on the field, Dempsey being on the field, Morris being on the field, and thought, oh my God, I have a plethora of strikers that I can choose from right now. Yeah. Unfortunately, that doesn't extend to the defensive side of the ball with the Revs right now. Look, maybe I don't know whether Jay Heaps is the right guy for New England to move forward, but I also don't know that they need to move forward from him to move forward, if you like. But I do know that there's heaps of work to be done if they're to turn this around, okay? And I did plan that. You can thank me later.
Yeah, he's gone there with it. Seattle showing that they're very durable as well, hanging in there. And it's, for any team to come back from 3 down is a good feat in MLS, totally. That's it for our results review. Look out for our game of the week, which is Atlanta United against DC United. The reason for that is that me and Scott watched the whole 95 minutes or whatever it was. So make sure you check that video out. Also check out our Columbus Crew New York City video that we've done as well. Thanks for watching the MLS show. Big thanks to Scott, as usual. Scott, say thanks, say bye, say whatever you want, but just do something.
Thanks, bye, whatever you want. I'll see you guys next week.
Top man, Scott.
On the MLS show.
Top man, we see you soon on the MLS show.
It's okay that he's not very good. He's just okay. And he has these streaks. We talked about him before. He's a streaky player. We compared him to Carl Larin, didn't we? We said how Larin's a more natural goal scorer. But Kurt Larsson's over there talking about how he's one of the most complete players in MLS. And I'm sorry, but I don't agree. And the second goal that he perpetuates as this sort of proof of it, I think was more of a goalkeeping error on Joe Willis than anything else. I mean, if you look, don't get me wrong, it's a fabulous little ball from Giovinco. He takes it down really well on his chest. But as soon as that ball's over the top, Joe Willis needs to be racing off of his line to close down that angle. And he stands there, stranded like a deer in the headlights, you know. Look, you still got to finish it. You got to take your chances. But I'm not sold. I'm just not sold. You know, 2 goals today. He's in one of the top sort of, I think, 9 people in goals per game in the history of MLS. He's number 9. You know, so look, is he a good player? Maybe, but he's just not consistent enough for me. 2 goals today, big deal. You know, I mean, we'll see if he can do it next week. Most likely not. And he most likely can't do it without Giovinco. I'm telling you that.
You sound like Ped. Ped digs Josie out quite a lot, to be fair.
I saw a great, just to go on that, I saw a great thing today, and it was a guy who was tweeting all of these facts about Sunderland, which made them one of the most ridiculous teams in existence. And I think I sent it to you, and it was like, the fact was Josie Altidore being so bad that for a striker we would chant, if Altidore scores, we're on the pitch. Normally reserved for players like Tony Hibbert.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, we'll move on from there. Look, good win for him. Good win for him. Not a bad loss for the Dynamo. You know, they're still unbeaten at home, the Dynamo. Not a bad loss. Look, you know, and Toronto, great win for them. Always a great win at home. BMO is definitely one of the toughest places in MLS to go. So didn't really expect anything different, I'll be honest with you.
Fair play. I mean, like you say, Toronto picking up that pace now, really starting to make that home form strong. And of course, Giovinco beginning to fire again like we thought that he would do. So a good win there. And you're right, Houston, you know, they need to just protect their home record, really, and that'll take them far, I think, this season. Moving on to a Canada game, all Canada tie. And Vancouver getting a win on the road, a 2-1 victory. Yeah,
excellent stuff. I mean, their first result on the road this season. Excellent stuff for them. Really big confidence boost for them, and you know, it came from one of the most unlikely sort of places in Andrew Jacobson. He had a fantastic game in the centre of that midfield, or at least what I can say that I've seen on the extended highlights from MLS Live, because we don't get all the games here, of course, you know. But still, he had a fantastic game. Look, he actually scored the equaliser and then set up Teixeira for the winner. You know, that was an interesting interview. We come off the back of that over on Beyond the Pitch, and you know, watched some great MLS this weekend. So just ready to talk football, man.
Right, let's go. We won't mention our English teams. Scott came out on top against mine. Let's just leave it there. Right, the first game of the week. What was that?
I said I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, well, I've said it for you, so let's move on hastily. Okay, the first game of the weekend, Toronto 2, Houston Dynamo 0. Scott, Josie Altidore, 2 goals. You want to talk about one of the goals? Am I right? You have an issue?
Yeah, I mean, you can't don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take anything away from Josie Altidore, but followers of the show, who may also be followers of me, may have seen me get into it with Kurt Larsson on Twitter about Josie Altidore. Now, look, this is my thing. I don't think Josie Altidore is very good, okay?
Welcome to the MLS Show. It is me, Baz. I am joined, as it seems always now, by Scott Nicholls. Scott, a very warm welcome again to the MLS Show. You're getting a bit of a permanent fixture now, which is all good.
Yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it. I love talking about MLS, one of the most unpredictable leagues in the world. Who wouldn't enjoy it, is my question.
Well, exactly. Why aren't more people getting into it? Well, I mean, they are. It's growing. Have you been good, mate, since we last spoke?
Absolutely, yeah, great. Been doing well. Just finished up an interview with Brian Dunseth for those Real Salt Lake City fans. Just to, go off of that, he's also a New York Revolution ex-player there. He actually is the reason that Jay Heaps went to New England. So,
right.